And we're here with Stephen Ezell, who's the CEO of mygreenfills.com and memberbox.com, and also on the board of various companies that are doing good things in the world. Stephen, welcome to the Optimal Performance Podcast.
Happy to be here, man. Looking forward to it.
So I think I'd like to start by defining a couple of terms that I've seen around the things that you do and the companies that you're involved in. Obviously, you're really effective at what you do, which is to bring non-toxic products and to raise awareness, and some of the charity work that you're doing is just so aligned with where I'm at and what I believe in. It's super cool.
Sweet.
I'd love for you to define what conscious capital is, the movement of conscious capital. Can you define that for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hot topic these days, as it should be. Years ago, a decade ago or more now, when I pivoted my career and my capital and what I was investing my time, money, energy into, and I said, I'm just going to, which was a catchphrase a decade ago for those, which was called triple net investing. So you made, yes, of course, profit net money, but then it would be, profit for the environment and profit for people. So you'd have, this idea that you can build social enterprises, so successful businesses on the back of actually helping people, doing good stuff for the environment, doing good stuff for people. And, I was in a very small room of thought leaders at that time that said, hey, let's, yes, we need to make money for our shareholders. Yes, we need to invest in the things that are profitable, that can scale, et cetera. But is it possible to build really big companies, right, with lots of employees and lots of growth by doing good stuff? And it was, a thesis a decade and a half ago for me, thinking that it was possible because there was very few people doing it at scale. And if they were, it was, hey, being green was like a line extension just to say you had a green profile. And still lots of big corporations still have a green acquisition to say, hey, here's our sustainability effort. So to me, conscious capitalism is putting capital to work in a conscious way, right? So it's not only about profits, financial profits, but profits that impact human lives, that impact our environment, so that we leave a greater legacy than what we've been given. So that's what conscious capitalism is, and those are the companies that we build around here.
Yeah. Can you walk us through a couple of the companies that you have built and seen success with?
Yeah. So, most notably, mygreenfills.com. We are, if not the one of the fastest growing eco-chemical manufacturers in the country, if not North America and beyond. So I invested in this company in 2012 when, it was called Celestial Soap back then, started a kitchen sink at a laundromat here in town. And I invested in it because what started this kind of triple net, sustainable journey for me was a little over 12 years ago. I have 5 children now, but when my firstborn son was this 3-week-old little shrimp, he broke out in a head-to-toe rash. And as a first-time dad, I was in total freakazoid mode. Like, what? Like, my kid is like, and I was in charge of his bath, and look, he was welted up. I called my wife, and she's a NICU nurse. So when I saw her freak out, I'm like, now I'm in total freak-out mode, right? You see, like, the nurse get nervous.
Yeah.
That's used to handling sick babies. So, we went to the pediatrician and dermatologist, and and they want to prescribe all this crazy stuff. And a friend of the family said, hey, what are you using for laundry detergent? I'm like, well, of course, the big bright bottle like grandma always used. Oh, no, don't use that. You got to use something that's, non-toxic, that's, hypoallergenic. Really? So he tried it, and like in less than 2 days, like it was done. It's like, well, if laundry detergent can make my kids sick, what the hell else is out there? So fast forward, so that was, 2008. So fast forward 2012, and I'm a full-blown like eco-conspiracy theorist at this point. I was thoroughly convinced every company's trying to kill me and my family and blah, 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 blah. And I realized through this, because again, being an entrepreneur, being a businessman, I've done really big transactions, big deals. I built, almost a little over 50 restaurants in Manhattan in my 20s. I was in the restaurant business. And then I pivoted in '07, '08 while still being in the restaurant business. I started developing real estate in Panama. I was building like ecotourism, like crazy stuff, right?
Wow.
So fast forward, I lose everything in '08, '09. Move to Michigan, start over from living in New York City, meet this lady who's selling laundry, non-toxic laundry soap at the farmer's market, wanted to build a business. And it resonated with me, right?
Wow.
And I said, I could sell it. I believe in it. If I believe in anything, I could sell anything, right? And that's where it started. And we pivoted and failed, so many different things. And in 2015, literally, we're like, we're done. We're going out of business again for the almost third time. What's next? And I just saw what was happening online. And I said, I got one more good pivot in me before I wave the white flag and go back to work. Because I was diagnosed as a teenager with a genetic condition. I'm genetically unemployable, and I found that to me complete failure was like going back to work, right? Like updating my resume, what? And so I said, you know what? This online thing can't be too hard, right? All you have to do is build a website, and you're a millionaire. I was that naive. And so I taught myself how to code, and I taught myself how to build websites. And that was, June will be 6 years that we started that journey. And yeah, so now mygreenfields.com is really the dominant force in the subscription e-commerce space, especially when it comes to household cleaning products. And we've learned a lot through that journey. So that's one of my companies, is a plant-based eco-chemical on a mission. We do really cool stuff. We literally buy women out of sex trafficking. They get rehabilitated. They get healed, and they get sustainable jobs working for us, amongst other things. We fund a whole deaf village in Jamaica. We've saved, I don't even know how many millions of pounds of plastic from ever being produced through our refillable platform. Right, you get an empty piece of packaging once. So we've literally pioneered this idea of refill, not landfill. The list goes on and on, like of how we outreach and try and do good stuff. And then a couple years ago, I looked at what we've built and the network and my resources, the team, the infrastructure. And I said, how do I, democratize what we've done to help others? So that's where kind of MemberBox 1.0 came out of that. So memberbox.com, as it sits today at the airing of this podcast, is the world's first platform in which online influencers, whether they're health, wellness, eco influencers, where we've really kind of cut our teeth, can build their own branded subscription box without lifting a finger. Because I have so many contacts, I've mentored hundreds of and on stage talking about conscious capitalism, building sustainable brands online, offline. So I have this huge network of these brands like My Greenfields that I'm trying to peddle really good stuff online or offline. So I leverage those relationships, and I have all these influencers, thought leaders that have been promoting our products at My Greenfields for years, because like we're in a league of our own in the non-toxic plant-based eco space. Like we're in a field of our own, especially online. So what if I marry all these together and help people, help good brands get their products out there in a really interesting new way, in a way that, because so many companies struggle to acquire customers these days, right? It's really challenging. The glory days of, put a Facebook ad out there and, 1 million people see it are over, right? So how do we, brands that are doing good stuff that really help people, how can we help them scale, grow, get their products in the hands of their dream customer? And then people that have a voice, that have a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, they've authored books, and they're like, hey, I have this blueprint, this plan that I've been teaching you for years. Well, now how do we get the tools in their tribe's hands to live the life that these guides have been saying are possible for so long? So that was the genesis of memberbox.com. And this summer we're kind of releasing 2.0, which is going to be really exciting, in which we're releasing a fully democratized marketplace that is unequivocally going to change the game of e-commerce forever. Remember, I said that today. So We're doing some really cool stuff, and it's all in the auspice of, helping people and doing good stuff, and brands that are helping people do good stuff, they deserve to win. And yeah, so it's going to be a really cool thing that we're doing there too.
Wow. Holy shit, man. That is so inspiring. You know, so many questions, so many ways to take this. How important is education to the average consumer that doesn't realize that spraying Febreze all over their house is terrible for them? Like, how important is it for your companies, the brands that you work with, and even the companies that you lead? How important is education in the sales process?
Well, it's really freaking important. And I think in the day and age that we're currently, sitting in, right? So in years from now, when people listen to this podcast or watch this video, this coronavirus pandemic and COVID-19 will be a memory, right? Hopefully. Well, I believe the paradigm that has been imparted onto us will stick for a long time. But in this day and age right now, where we sit in the midst of this, kind of global crisis, I believe there is what's coming out of that is a heightened sense of awareness for lots of consumers. Right? I think that the consumer mindset of just 3 months ago is officially over, and which either is really freaking tragic news for lots of businesses and for business owners. What's happening today is absolutely tragic. I'll tell you a quick story. So again, in 2008, I was in the restaurant business. I was already pivoting to real estate. I was doing a lot of crazy stuff all around the world, investing in renewable energy plants and doing some crazy stuff, right? But I still had my roots, and my cash flow was rooted in the restaurant business. And so I was highly levered. I had a huge freaking ego, and had a successful enterprise in New York City, right? Like doing big catering events. And then when, Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, and all these big corporate food service contracts we had were like dropping like flies, and, had really big transactions working on overseas with real estate investment, and those evaporated. And I a multi-million-dollar restaurant operation for $1. On January 1st, 2009, I sold my restaurant group for $1. And I walked out the door to sign in the papers, like legit, with $1 freaking bill in my hand.
Oh my God.
And I looked at it, and in hindsight, I wish I would have framed it, right, as a memory, as an altar of my mistakes. But I actually ripped it up and threw it on the sidewalk in the Bronx. I littered for the first time in my life. No, I'm just kidding. And now here I am years later, in the midst of this crisis, and our companies are absolutely exploding, right? I mean, we sell non-toxic cleaning products. We sell non-toxic hand soap, right? I've just hired 75 people to our business in just the last 50 days.
Wow.
Right. So, we're growing extremely fast. But I'll be honest, there's a little PTSD in me, right? Because I'm driving down the street coming to work here because I'm an essential business. And lots of my friends that own restaurants in our town, Traverse City, Michigan, are shut. And I'm looking around, and I tell you, when this first thing really started to hit, it was a little weird for me, man. It was surreal, because I'm like, wow, I have if I didn't pivot my life,
yeah,
and if I didn't change what I did, how I did it, why I did it, my vision and where I was going and who I was serving, etc., I would be a statistic all over again, like I was in 2008. But here I am now, extremely grateful that we have opportunity, and we're helping people, and we're doing really freaking good stuff. And MemberBox could never be positioned for what I'm investing into right now. What we're building could not be positioned any better than it is right now. It's literally like the perfect storm. So and I have a chance. And again, I'm on the board of a few companies. I invest in companies, and And I mentor dozens of entrepreneurs, either personally and thousands of entrepreneurs through my, what I do kind of content wise. It's like, hey, either you can stick your head in the sand and just wait to get your ass handed to you, because it's coming. It's coming. And if I don't care which propaganda message you believe to, whichever one you subscribe to, whatever freaking flag you fly, change is on the horizon. It's here. So either you can roll over and play dead and become a statistic, or you can regroup, pick up your pants, get to work, and say, how can I actually help people? How can I pivot my business, my life, my ministry, my calling to go help people in this environment? Because a lot of people are going to say, oh, things are just going to bounce back. Yeah, they're going to bounce, all right. So anyway, so with that said, man, I'm although the gravity of this current climate, the gravity of the situation doesn't fall on deaf ears or a deaf heart here. I find myself with a renewed sense of excitement for the future, because out of all of these corrections, there's always a great resurgence or a insurgence of really great people that do good stuff that just change the way people do things. So I think we're at the fork in the road right now. And I hope that, entrepreneurs and business owners think about the future and don't think past their, payroll protection plan deal, right? Because that's going to evaporate, and then we're going to have to find out what the new normal looks like. So anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. That opens up all kinds of cans of worms for me. Why do you think that your businesses, that My Green Fills and soon MemberBox 2.0 is positioned for such growth beyond the leadership, beyond the branding? Like, from a consumer standpoint, do you really believe that people are just waking up to the fact that the products that they use are terrible for them? How big a let me qualify this, because the people listening right now to this podcast spend money on vitamins, they're fit, they're conscious consumers, they're critical thinkers, and they are interested in the highest quality products that are good for their lifestyle, that will keep them safe and healthy. What in your mind, what has really shifted for the consumer that a company like yours and the businesses that you work with and for are exploding in such a way?
Well, I didn't coin this idea, this formula, but I think it's very pertinent to the question. And I've heard it taught from a few thought leaders in the kind of digital marketing space. It's if you've ever heard of the upside formula. So unaware, problem aware, solution aware, your solution aware, deal. And it's basically the conscious journey of a consumer to your company, to your brand, and which starts with unaware. They're completely oblivious. So if someone is eating, a fast food breakfast with extra syrup and a double cheeseburger, drive through for lunch, and a whole pizza pie for dinner, there's a really good chance they're not on this podcast right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because they are completely unaware and oblivious that you or I exist, and probably don't freaking give a rip. They think we're freaking crazy. Right. But then you kind of come down the rung to someone who's problem aware. Like, the freaking double this with extra cheese, it's actually really not freaking good for you. Not only is it not good for you, it's freaking bad to eat processed this and da-da-da-da, and there's a problem. And then you get down to the next, hey, but the solution is a clean, plant-based, or this, and it is supplementing with things that my body doesn't naturally synthesize, and I need to augment my health by doing da-da-da-da-da. And then they find out that you exist. And here's your solution to that problem, to your particular solution that they're looking for. And then that transaction, the deal is very simple. And the way I mentor lots of entrepreneurs is, and again, I've heard this said before, is, if you're in the middle of a shipwreck and like you're on a cruise ship and the ship is down and you happen to be one of the ones in the lifeboat, like trying to go find, there's people in shrapnel everywhere. Who do you save first? Well, the answer to the riddle is you save the people that are jumping in the boat, right? The people that are swimming towards you, save them first. The people that are swimming away, don't row over and kill the people that are swimming towards you to go find the one swimming away. But I think what's happening in this global paradigm shift is there are way more people swimming towards a different boat than they were just freaking 60 days ago. Because the boats they were jumping in 60 days ago are closed. They're shut down. Life has changed in just 60 days, less. And that paradigm is not going to go anywhere for a long time. Again, let's just think about the human psyche that has changed in just, again, the last 30 days. If you would have walked into a bank 30 days ago with a mask, they'd call the freaking police.
I never thought of that. You're right.
Right? Yeah. If you walk into a bank right now without a mask, they're calling the police. Just let that if you walk into a department store in freaking full-on head garb, they'd be calling security.
Right.
Now you walk into a grocery store without some makeshift freaking piece of underwear on your face, you're the enemy, right?
Yeah.
You're public enemy one.
Yeah.
If you don't have a pair of tighty whities strapped to your face.
Right.
So to think that life is just going to go back to whatever we believe normal was is a freaking joke, right? It's just not.
Well,
to land the plane on your question, I think the consciousness of consumers, consciousness of human beings are shifting, and the people that can meet the needs of people now are going to win. And the people that aren't to be statistics until they figure it out.
Yeah. Does that suggest? And I this is not my space, but I'm just super curious about it. And like you said, consciousness is shifting, and people are becoming. They have to. It will never be the same. It will never go back to what it was just a month ago or 2 months ago. And we see these mega companies exploding. We don't need to name them. We all know who they are. If you need soap, you can either order it online or you can go into a mega store and
hopefully it's there.
And hopefully it's there. And hopefully it's there. And hopefully it's let's just say it is, it's me, and I'm going to go buy, a non-toxic detergent, to your case. I have basically two options. I can either buy it online or I can go to a mega department store. Does that suggest, and I assume that for so many different industries that is going to be increasingly the case. And I have friends that are retail store owners. I myself owned brick and mortar wellness centers that since I have sold them, now they're closed. They can't operate. They're in dire straits right now. Does that suggest that the sort of mom and pop corner store, wellness center, even maybe co-ops, that those are going to make way for either A, the big bad wolf, or B, my green fills?
That's a great question.
Thanks.
When it comes to the mom and pop store owner, I think a lot of that has to do, and in my opinion, with the geolocation of that mom and pop brick and mortar store, right? There's always going to, I believe there's always going to be somewhat of a market demand for that last minute convenience local business owner. There's always going to be a need for that. I don't foresee that people are going to continue to stay in the prison cell of their own home for too long before people literally just go batshit crazy.
Yeah, we're getting there.
And just, we're on the cusp of some Looney Town.
Yeah.
But I do believe that the need, the convenience for online shopping has never been more important than it is now. And so, yeah, My Greenfields, I believe, is well positioned for not only growth but stability. You know, as long as we still have a U.S. dollar and still have some semblance of an economy.
Yeah.
Which is another rabbit trail to go hunt down. Is I believe brands like My Greenfields will withstand the test of time in the next few years. Because it's safe, it's non-toxic, and it's shipped to your door. And brands like that, I think, are gonna weather the storm if they have not been heavily leveraged, if they're not in a F ton of debt, if they grew their business smartly. Because a lot of people, is another rabbit trail. Lots of CEOs celebrate the capital raise, right? It's like, oh, we got our A round and our B round, but don't know how to actually build a sustainable business.
Right.
Regardless, I think what's about to happen is there's going to be blood on the streets with those types of businesses, right? As the credit markets and the equity markets get more pinched, and dumb investors are gone. Their sky's already falling on dumb capital, right? So they, unless you have a rich aunt or a rich whatever. The day, I believe, like in 08, 09 into 10 into early parts of 11, 12, unsophisticated capital, they are completely frightened right now, right? And then you have the astute institutional, really smart capital guys, and they're just waiting for a garage sale.
Yeah, right.
They're like, hey, this is awesome, right? There's going to be blood on the streets, and I get to pick up companies, assets, real estate, pennies on the dollar, and I'm going garage sale shopping. And a company that I could have acquired for $10 million, I can acquire for $750,000 in a turkey sandwich.
Yeah, right.
So, so that's going to be so for businesses that are not well positioned from a balance sheet P&L perspective. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm very fortunate. What we built so far here is no debt. Very little, no debt. Some seed investors from from many years ago, but everything we built here has just been a whole lot of grit. I've taken the hard, slow road to scaling the companies. A couple years ago, I can't tell you how many I could have raised for My Greenfields. I could have been one of those like .com brands that raised 20, 30, 50, $100 million of private equity, A, B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a crap about sustainability or profitability? Let's just go get as many eyeballs talking like at top of the funnel as possible.
Yeah.
Let's just go and talk to as many people as we can. And if it works out in the end, it works, but we'll sell the company to somebody else, and that'll be their problem.
Right.
And that was, a fork in the road. I had to make a decision years ago. And I tell you right now, in the last month, I am really freaking grateful I didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, man, what else you got?
Fascinating. I have the sense that the people who are swimming toward the boat in your shipwreck metaphor, consumers that buy products that you provide for them, people that listen to this podcast, I think they're looking for others. I think the people swimming towards the boat are saying, "Hey, there's a fucking boat. It's coming right for us. Like, come here, let's go. This is the boat we should get in."
Yep.
And I imagine that in addition to non-toxic products, soaps, detergents, those are probably the same people that believe in regenerative farming. Those are probably the same people that that are eating in a conscious way and that are traveling in a conscious way. And I hope, and maybe I'm extrapolating too much, maybe I'm taking this too far, but I hope that, to your point, that the group of people that are swimming toward the boat is expanding. And they understand that the way that they live their life, the way that they vote with their dollar, the way that they consume all of this stuff, the cars they buy, I mean, to every little detail that in the way that they live their life, may actually be this global situation that we're going through right now is and can be a catalyst for an increasing number of people that are swimming towards the boat and choosing to live their life in a more conscious way. Is that am I fishing too much there?
No, I think you're spot on, man. I've been again, I look at, our, we have Facebook groups, and we have dozens of people on our call center, right? So we have lots of customer service representatives, and as often as I can, I jump on calls with our customers. Like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like if it wasn't for them, you say voting with their dollars. I mean, we use here all the time, and I do from stage as well, because there's no greater vote. Here we are in a presidential election year in the United States, and the noise that's about to ensue is going to be freaking mind-numbing. But it's that micro vote that we make every day that is the one that counts. But here's what I do know, is that I look at, our customer base, and it's amazing the feedback that we're getting via email and text and Facebook and comments on how our customers as a whole. Don't get me wrong, we have some pretty freaking loony people in our boat right now that are afraid, that are scared. There's no question. But the mass, and not even super majority, the mass majority of our customers, they have joy, they're happy, they feel confident. Because when you start taking control of your thoughts, and you take control of your emotion, you take control of your money, and you know that, I'm going to vote for, organic potatoes versus some glyphosate ridden spud. I won't even call it a potato. We don't even know what it is. Call it a spud. Versus, from a local CSA, if you have the privilege, an organically grown locally potato that somebody loved. That's empowering.
Yeah.
Right? When you eat that food, you feel, that's an empowering decision. And if people have made those decisions for years leading up until this point, they're freaking solid, dude. Like, they've got their crap in a sack. They know who they are. They know who they are, what they're doing. And yes, these are uncertain times. There's no question. But for those people that, unfortunately lived a life that has just been, that carpet's been pulled out from under them, now they're problem aware.
Yeah.
Where before they were completely oblivious to the message that you have been preaching for years, are now like, oh, wait a second. They've had more time online than they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
They've been home. They're getting educated.
Good point.
People are looking like, hey, what should I be getting? Hey, I can't, the normal place that I shop online just told me I can't get stuff for a month. Where am I going to go now? Oh, wait a sec. So now, there is a paradigm shift coming, and I think that, whether it's online or offline, there is a new consciousness of consumer that is being ushered in right now. And again, even in the midst of this complete insanity that we're living through, I'm really excited about it. I think it's time. I think it's time that people change their buying behaviors.
Right.
And if times are tough and you got to count your pennies and you're looking at people who have no choice but to look at, dollars and cents, they're going to be way more conscious in where they put that money to work. Right. And it's going to be the good companies that are going to win. And that's what MemberBox is all about, right? It's like, hey, there are other marketplace platforms, some big ones, where it's an incestuous race to the bottom,
right?
Where you have dozens, if not hundreds, of sellers prostituting a brand to the bottom, and that's why major brands like Nike and Energizer are like ditching all of these marketplaces, because their brands have been completely, are being destroyed and havoc on these marketplaces. Like, we're not going to do that. So, like, you're a brand, you do good stuff. So I want, Dyson competing against Hoover on our platform. I don't want 54 sellers of Hoover and 750 sellers of Dyson competing against each other, where Dyson and Hoover have no control over what's said about their brand.
Right.
So that's what we're building at MemberBox. I'm excited about it, because I think, brands, real brands, not sellers, brands, especially now with supply chains being disrupted globally, and and paradigms being shifted, the need for brands to communicate and build relationships with that end consumer base, which is shrinking by the millisecond, has never been more important, ever. Never been more important. And that's what MemberBox, we're gonna empower people in a way that has never been done before. So
cool.
It's gonna be freaking pretty legit.
I think it's, in addition to the sort of brand value or brand awareness slipping or being distrusted, I would assume that the consumer is getting more savvy too, and younger, and aware that the phthalates in their shampoo are giving them an estrogenic response and making them feel sick. And they're becoming more savvy as consumers, and they have faster access to the research and information. That said, the Google Panda update, which happened early last year, which I've done two episodes just specifically on that, on how disruptive that was to natural health, alternative health, natural wellness, alternative products. Even now, even despite that, I think people are becoming more aware of the things that they consume, and they're looking for platforms where they can have conversations where the brand actually has a personality and has a response and has a story to tell that means something.
I think you're spot on, dude. When there's quite often from stages that I'm invited to talk about conscious capitalism, I often bring up a story that everyone can relate to, and it's spinach. Because, a decade ago, 5 years ago, if you wanted to buy organic spinach, it'd be 3, 4, 5, 10x the cost of its pesticide-ridden, very distant cousin.
Mm-hmm.
But now, organic spinach is pretty much the same price as regular spinach. There's no benefit to buying regular spinach. There's no financial benefit of buying regular spinach anymore. Well, it's not because a consortium of farmers got together at an event and says, you know what? We just want to become philanthropic with our farming. Right? We just want to stop putting herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, biocides. We're done doing that. We have a collective conscience here. We're going to stop putting toxic chemicals in people's throats. We're only going to do this organically. Everybody in? You see, that didn't happen.
Right.
Right? That didn't. That's exactly what did not happen. What happened is enough people took out their freaking piece of plastic or their green paper and said, "This is the freaking spinach we want." Period. End of story. And enough people says, "I'm done. I've read enough information. I've heard enough. I've read enough. I've tasted enough to know that this is what I want to eat. This is what I want to have my kids eat, et cetera, et cetera." And then ag had to say, "Oh, snap. Better figure it out. Because if we don't figure out how to scale this segment, these little guys are going to freaking eat our lunch," pun intended, right? So, so what happened was major growers said, "Hey, how do we either regenerate our farms or buy new farms, because these are too freaking effed up to mess with, so that we can grow organic spinach at scale?" So that's just one micro. So let's get meta. Yeah. So Google Panda censorship. Yeah. Got it. I got the memo, right? No doubt. But if there's something that I know I'm not, is a victim.
Yeah.
So based on that, since I'm not a victim, and there is a consciousness of people that want organic spinach versus, some fungicide sprinkled stuff, how do I find those people, right? And then how do we empower those people to go tell more people about organic spinach? Because that is what's happening, right? Because, although I am a man of faith and I believe the golden rule that the scripture talks about is very important and one that I live by, in business, the golden rule looks like this. The guy with the gold makes the rules. and if enough consumers say, "This is where I'm putting my gold," they make the freaking rules.
Right.
Period. End of story. So it's up to thought leaders like you and others to get out there, whether it's on a soapbox in a corner or on a podcast on iTunes, and say there's another way. And validate, entertain, and intrigue, and inspire enough people to go tell more people. And consciousness is changing. It will change. It will evolve. And people will start voting differently with their dollars. It happens all the time. Again, we look at what people bought in 1920, 1930. It's nothing like what they bought now. In 1930, in 2030 and 2060, people aren't going to buy the same stuff they're buying now. And we're going to have to evolve as in business. We're going to evolve as a people. And, I do believe that all roads right now are pointing towards more sustainability, more eco, more non-toxic, because that's what this younger generation, right, is thinking about. And this is what they're talking about. So I think, consciousness will change, business will change, and those that don't change, they'll go out of business.
Yeah. When you think about the type of person, because there's obviously different levels at which you can participate with a non-toxic life, right? You could live on a regenerative farm powered by solar, in a natural spring, not ever wear shoes, not ever try. I mean, yeah, you get the point. Or you can live in downtown Seattle and have the clothes that you wear and the detergents that you use and the soaps you use and the food that you buy come from sustainable, eco-friendly sources. I'm sort of curious about the sort of mix between like the fine line, like what can people do with their dollar? How can they consume in a conscious way if you're not living on a farm barefoot powered by solar on a regenerative farm, but rather living in either a suburb or a city? Like, what are some of the things that people can do that actually does make an impact, that actually will be an impactful thing that they could do as far as their consumables that will make a difference?
Well, I would, what I'm about to say is definitely not self-promoting, because, the business guy in me be like, oh, well, the first thing you must do is switch your non-toxic laundry detergent. That's not true. That's not the first thing you should do. So if this is like you were unaware and now you're problem aware, you're just starting your non-toxic journey. You just got enlightened to like, holy crap, I need to like make some major pivots to how I not only take care of myself, but my family, my children, my children's children, etc. First rule is change the things that go in you, right? And that's not just food and drink. That's even thoughts. That's ideas. That's messages. Like change the stuff that's going in you right now, right? That's the first thing. And as your budget and your time can afford, start making the necessary pivots to change what nonsense you say yes and amen to, and what food you put and the drinks and the whatever you put in your mouth is to first treat your body like a temple that it is, and don't allow nonsense or garbage in. That's the first thing. Then I would pivot to say, don't what you put on you, right? So that's where cleaning products, perfumes, cosmetics, skincare, like the chemical world, right? So the toxic world that we live in, I would start that. Then I would phase two, work on the things that are on you, right? And again, that's because like laundry chemicals. Now I will be a little self-promoting. Do your research. I mean, the laundry chemicals, especially if they're like they have a color to them, blue goo, green goo. I mean, these things are chemically engineered to leave a film on your fabrics, so that they trick your eyes into believing that your clothes are brighter. Trick your nose into believing your clothes are clean through fragrances. And we have no idea. There's zero research, there's zero studies on when you combine the countless pharmacopoeia of chemicals that are in the supermarket. When we wear these things and we rehydrate those chemicals through perspiration and heat, and these micro studs are created in our body, and that's how my son got sick when he was an infant. And like we don't realize. So that's the second phase is the stuff that's on you, right? So whether that's chemicals, perfumes, lotions, etc., what's on you. Then, if you really want to go like all in, is then what's the things that are around you, and that's your carpeting at home, right? Your bedding, the things that you spray around your house, right? The dishwasher chemicals that you use, that you're breathing in that stuff, or and I'd even put dishwasher chemicals in the category of the stuff that you put in you, because you literally, these chemicals are designed to leave a squeaky clean on your glasses and on your coffee cup. Nice acidic hot cup. Rehydrate those chemicals and down the gullet they go. So we're like drinking dishwasher chemicals. It's bizarre, and it's legal. So change the things that go in you, change the things that are on you, change the things that are around you. And if you start looking at your entire being through that lens,
wow,
you're empowered. That's empowerment,
dude.
Right? This is a good message that you can actually freaking take control of your psyche. You can take control of your emotions. You can take control of your health. You can be the CEO of your home, and you don't have to wait for somebody to do it for you, right?
Wow.
So it's really good news,
dude. That's a TED Talk. Have you lectured on that concept before?
I probably should. I've been invited a couple times, but schedules have never. I got to do it.
Dude, you've got that concept. That is a fucking viral TED Talk that you just laid out right there. I mean,
Cool.
That is so.
You know anybody?
I do, yeah, actually. Or you'll have to make your own platform, because all the platforms are being fucked with, and you need to do it on your own, and like start your own media empire. Maybe later.
Check. I'll put that on the backlog.
That is astoundingly clear and so easy to remember. I really love that, man. I'm so glad I asked that question, because you were able to give us a conceptual way of thinking about the things that we're exposed to. And I'll speak to just one thing really quick, because I've been on the non-toxic journey for a while, and I didn't realize how bad it was messing with me until I stopped. I didn't realize that my eyes were kind of always itchy and that my skin kind of was always broken out because of the detergents that I use. And now if I walk into a home with someone that's using like traditional grandma's laundry detergent that's bright blue, I walk into their house and I just go, oh, like my central nervous system smells it. I feel myself breathing it. I know it's in the air, and it freaks me the fuck out. Even when I'm walking through the park and I walk by someone that uses like perfume and old school detergent. Like I can smell their clothes when they walk by, and
or aftershaves and I mean, like
and once you've gotten into sort of a groove where you're not using those sorts of products, and you're not constantly bombarding your senses with these films and plastics and stuff that are not only bad for your hormones, but probably bad for your future children's hormones and terrible for the environment and unsustainable and bad for the water table, all these things. Once you make this transition to these products, and I'm preaching to the choir to a large extent, but once you make this transition to these higher quality products that are that don't have all the smells, you'll notice it everywhere, and it's so freaky.
So let me speak to that. So a couple things. You said that we talk about fragrance, right? So you talk about like walking into somebody's house, or you're at the park. An interesting study was done by the world's largest chemical manufacturing company, ones that have made grandma's cleaning detergents for a long time. That back in the late 70s and 80s, they all these focus groups. What do people want in laundry? And they found that people want whiter, and after surveys and focus groups, people want whiter whites and brighter brights. So we think about all the marketing of the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, like, the T-shirt flapping in the wind, and it's like, this brand versus this brand, whiter versus this one. Look how much, and because that's what consumers want, right?
Right.
Like I said earlier, I was thoroughly convinced, like, these companies are trying to kill us. No, they're not. I'm here to tell you, right? All these big bad companies, they're not trying to kill you. They're trying to sell you. They're not trying to kill you. And if they are, they will have their judgment seat before the Lord one day. They'll reckon for themselves. But taking that out, if there's not a bad conscience there, and they just want to sell you. So I said, what if they want whiter whites and brighter brights? And that was the marketing message in the laundry category for decades. Until about a dozen years ago, I said, are those studies still true? So the same company, they hired a bunch of, human psychologists, and they hired psychologists and demographers, all these really, PhD level people, not just some focus group, marketing companies, but get it deep into the psyche. Is that what people really want? They just couldn't articulate on fragrance. People didn't know how to articulate. They just wanted the smell of clean, right? They wanted the smell. And now we see the marketing message, the scent beads and this and that, and people, because now it's like, I'm going to provide that sensory experience. And I did this for myself. And I said, this can't be true. So early days of my green fills, we used only essential oils in our products, exclusively. But here's the problem with essential oils in laundry. When you add it to that much water and you put it to a dryer, but it doesn't matter, you could put a whole bottle of orange essential oil in a washing machine. By the time it comes out of the dryer, you don't smell anything, right? Because they're volatile organic compounds. They can't stick in laundry. And we tried to crack the code of laundry, crack the chemistry code, couldn't figure it out. If there's anybody in this podcast that knows how to do it, please call me. We couldn't figure it out, right? So I said, if we didn't find a way to put safe fragrance and give people that sensory experience, I was going out of business. And I was being pleaded with by our customers and by my partners, saying, hey, we need to add some type, albeit a plant-based fragrance oil, we need to add some type of sensory experience. I said, well, before I do that, I want to prove it to myself. So I jumped in my truck, I ran over to Bed Bath & Beyond, and I grabbed 2 beautiful Egyptian cotton white hand towels. Beautiful, brand new white. Ripped the tags off them, went out to my truck, took one of them, wiped it on the side of the car. So it was dirty. Like there was noticeable black freaking stains. And I went down to the supermarket and I grabbed the leading detergent and the leading fabric softener brand. and I threw them in a spray bottle, and I just went, and I misted the dirty rag with fabric softener and detergent. And the other one, brand new, nothing, brand new, gleaming white. And I went down the road in Traverse City here to the mall. Had my little hey, focus group time. Like, hey, here, get a coupon, whatever. Like, we're testing between two formulas, A or B. And I did this back and forth, which one was, so there was no cognitive bias. And nine out of 10 people grab and they touched, they looked, and they smelled. So 9 out of 10 people put the towels to their face to test if clean was in the smell. 9 out of 10. 7 out of 10 people chose the dirty rag. And I was like, oh.
Huh.
I'm like, all right. So then I went to the co-op. I went to my local co-op, Oriana, great co-op. We shop there all the time. Great, organic foods, great store. Another store here in town, Edson Farms, another local health store. And I'm like, these are my people, right? These are the people swimming towards me. They drive Subarus, they eat granola, they wear patchouli. Like, these are my people, right? Let me see if this holds true there. And you know what? 5 out of 10 of my people chose a dirty rag.
Huh.
And then I was convinced that we are brainwashed. We are completely brainwashed through our nose and thinking that certain things have efficacy based on fragrance. And that's the number one. People need to stop that, because through your nose is the easiest way to get into the blood-brain barrier.
Sure.
And you should not be breathing in this toxic stuff. And that's just one micro. These are these are just little parables that are freaking real.
Right.
But the world's changing, which is good news.
Clean. There's no such thing as something smelling clean. If it's clean, it doesn't smell like anything. Fascinating. Well, I want to be cognizant of your time. This has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate you making the time and jumping on here with me. I like to end well, first of all, before I ask the last question, which is a fill in the blank question, purposefully to catch people off guard. Would you please give us all the links where people can find the products, where they can follow along and learn more?
Well, I'll throw you off guard. Is don't follow me, follow your heart. So if don't worry about following me and what I'm doing, you'll find me, right? My biggest encouragement people right now in these very crazy times we're living is follow peace and follow your heart. If peace and your heart lead you to a path that's safer, that's non-toxic, that leads us to build a business relationship together, consumer, that's freaking awesome, right? And I'm hope I could serve you for years to come. But don't follow me, follow peace, follow your heart, because we're entering in a day and age when that will be your greatest survival mechanism. All right, now hit me with your question.
Damn. You just deflated my big last fill in the blank question.
Well, that was my way of buying some time to think about what you had.
Yeah, you've disarmed me. Well done. So this is based on, it can be regarding anything that you know, any lessons that you've learned, and elaborate as much or as little as you'd like. If you would please fill in the blank. Everyone would benefit from knowing.
It's a good one. Everyone would benefit from knowing that deep within you, there is a voice of reason that was put there not by accident, not by happenstance, not by some bizarre form of evolution, but there is a voice of reason that lives deep inside the souls of every man and woman. And it would benefit you to know that you have the ability to hear that voice, and that voice will lead you to all truth. There you go. That's what I got.
Powerful, Stephen Ezell. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Optimal Performance Podcast.
You got it, man. It's awesome. Do it again sometime.
And that's that.